November 26th, 1939, border village of Manila, Soviet Union. 4 artillery shells explode in the quiet Russian settlement. Snow kicks up, windows shatter. 4 Soviet border guards die, 9 wounded. But here's the thing. The shells came from the Soviet side of the border. 3 Finnish observation posts confirm it. The Soviets fired on their own people. 4 days later, 105 million Soviets march into Finland. 3 million Finns stand in their way. Stalin expects victory in 2 weeks. He gets 105 days of hell instead. December 7th, 1939, Tolvajärvi village, eastern Finland, Soviet 139th. Rifle division rolls down the single muddy road. 9 infantry battalions. 60 artillery pieces. 30 tanks. 376 aircraft overhead. Brigade Commander Nicholas Belyaev leads from the front. The division formed at Kozelsk in September 1939 from the 81st Rifle Division. Fresh troops. Well equipped. High morale. 3 regiments, 718th, 609th, 364th, Reconnaissance Battalion, Signal Battalion, Sapper Battalion, engineering units, medical companies, full divisional structure. Belyaev's orders are simple. Cut Finland in half. Take the Vertala railway junction 70 kilometers away. Open the back door to the Mannerheim Line. End this war. Soviet 8th Army under Corps Commander Ivan Nikitich. Khabarov expects rapid success. Intelligence reports suggest minimal Finnish resistance. Border guards and reservists. Nothing serious. Against him stands Group Talvela, 4,000 Finnish soldiers under Colonel Paavo Talvela, Infantry Regiment 16 commanded by Lieutenant Colonel Aro Pajari, Detachment Rezinin with 4 separate battalions, ERP 9, ERP 10, ERP 112, PPP 7. 1 battalion of 6th Artillery Regiment. No tanks, no air support, precious few mortars, half the manpower of their opponents. The Soviets outnumber them 5-1. Talvela himself is fascinating. Born Paavo Juho Thuren in 1897. Changed his name reflecting Finnish nationalism. Fought in German 27th Royal Prussian Jaeger Battalion during World War I. Saw combat on Eastern Front. Arrested at Swedish border in 1917. Detained for months. Entered Finland via Turku and Åland. Finnish Civil War veteran on Whiteside. Used pseudonym Strömsten. Promoted directly from private to lieutenant. Rose to major after Civil War. Participated in Aunis expedition in 1919 as regimental commander. If you value documented Viking and Norse-era history like this, subscribe. It's the best way to support our work. Also, comment from which city you're hearing this from. The script is researched and factual, using sources from the Finnish War Archive Essay Kuva collection and military historian Alan Chew's The White Death, published by Michigan State University Press in 1971, which provides detailed casualty figures and tactical analysis from both Finnish and Soviet archives. Now back to the information. December 10th, 1939. Midnight, Lake Tolvajärvi's frozen shore. Temperature minus 18 Celsius. Ice thickness 40 centimeters. Safe for infantry movement. Dangerous for vehicles. A Soviet ski battalion moves through the darkness. Finnish National Army troops. Renegade Finns fighting for Stalin. Communist exiles. Political refugees. Men who fled Finland after Civil War defeat. Now returning with Soviet weapons. Red Vengeance. The battalion commander is Major Toivo Antikainen. Communist revolutionary. Spent years in Soviet exile. Trained at Frunze Military Academy. Speaks fluent Russian and Finnish. Knows local terrain intimately. His men wear Soviet uniforms but carry Finnish identification papers. Psychological warfare component. Turn Finns against each other. They slip around Talvela's left flank. 400 meters through pine forest. Snow muffles footsteps. Target his supply line. The road to Korpiselka. 25 kilometers of vulnerable communication. Single track through wilderness. No defensive works there. Just field kitchens. Artillery crews manning 4 122mm howitzers. Quartermaster units distributing ammunition. Headquarters company with radio equipment. Signal platoon maintaining telephone lines. 11 p.m. The attack begins. Finnish cooks are stirring massive vats of sausage soup. Macaroon latico, macaroni casserole. Hernikato, pia soup. Hot food essential in sub-Arctic conditions. Calories mean survival. The Soviets scatter the panicked cooks. Kitchen utensils clatter across frozen ground. Steam rises from overturned pots. Then the attackers sit down, eat the Finnish soup, use Finnish spoons and bowls. This becomes known as the Sausage War. Talkin' soda in Finnish. The absurdity of it. Enemy soldiers eating your dinner while your war hangs in the balance. Combat interrupted by hunger. Human need transcending ideology. December 11th. Dawn breaks gray and cold. Major snowstorm dumps 20 inches of fresh snow across the battlefield, winds gusting 60 kilometers per hour. Thick fog settles over dozens of small lakes. Visibility drops to 30 feet. Soviet aircraft grounded at Petrozavodsk and Sortavala air bases, 150 Tupolev SB bombers, 60 Polikarpov, and 16 fighters, 40 Polikarpov, 153 fighters, all useless in zero visibility conditions. Tanks bogged down in mud under the snow. T-26 light tanks, BT-5 fast tanks, T-28 medium tanks. Tracks spin helplessly. Engines overheat. Fuel consumption doubles. The weather chooses sides. It chooses Finland. Colonel Talvela arrives at Wärtsilä station aboard military train from Helsinki. Studies the terrain maps spread across makeshift headquarters table. Topographic sheets show lake systems, elevation contours, forest densities, road networks, intelligence reports from reconnaissance patrols. Enemy positions marked in red pencil, Finnish defensive lines in blue, gaps and vulnerabilities circled. His old friend, Lieutenant Colonel Auro Pajari, commands Infantry Regiment 16, 28-year-old career officer, graduate of Kadettikulin, Finnish Military Academy. Served on staff assignments, no combat experience yet. Heart condition he hides beneath iron determination. Rheumatic fever as child weakened cardiac muscle. Doctors recommended desk duty. Pajari demanded field command. Talvela phones him at forward command post. Drive to the front. Find out what's happening. Talk to battalion commanders, company leaders, platoon sergeants, enlisted men. Report back. Full disclosure, no sugarcoating. Truth, however, bitter. 3 a.m., Pajari returns, uniform soaked with snow, boots caked with ice, face gaunt from exhaustion. His report is grim. Finnish defenders have been retreating for a week, pounded by artillery and tanks, Soviet 122mm howitzers firing from concealed positions, direct fire from tank guns, mortars dropping on command posts. Only able to respond with machine guns and hand grenades. Lati Salaranta, light machine guns, Suomi submachine guns, Russian Maxim guns captured in Civil War, World War I, vintage equipment mostly. The men are physically exhausted, fighting withdrawal for 6 days, constant movement. Little sleep, inadequate food supplies, frostbite casualties mounting, ammunition running low, discipline hangs by a thread, officer casualties severe, platoon leaders dead or wounded, non-commissioned officers taking command. One more Soviet push breaks them completely. The opposing 139th Rifle Division has high training and tactical cohesion, solid flanking attacks, 5-1 odds against the Finns. The weather aids the invaders. Talvela makes his decision. We attack. December 12th, 1939. 0600 hours. Pre-dawn darkness. Finnish soldiers check equipment one final time. Mosin Nagant rifles. Bayonets sharpened. Ammunition pouches filled. Hand grenades. German model 24 stick grenades. Soviet F-1 defensive grenades captured in earlier skirmishes. Suomi KP-31 submachine guns for assault troops. Ski equipment adjusted. Bindings tested. Poles sharpened for combat use. 0800 hours. Battle of Tolvajärvi begins. Temperature minus 22 Celsius. Wind speed 15 kilometers per hour. Visibility improving, but still limited to 100 meters. Finnish plan is elegant simplicity. Encircle the Soviets with 2 pincer attacks across the frozen lakes. Tolvajärvi and Tolvajärvi. Järvi means lake in Finnish. Northern attack starts at 8 a.m. Southern attack follows when the first shows results. Plans change during final briefing. Both attacks launch simultaneously at 800 hours. Maximum shock effect. Prevent Soviet reserves from reinforcing threatened sectors. Northern pincer. Detachment Malkamaki under Major Reino Malkamaki. 2 infantry battalions advance across Tolvajärvi's ice. Separate Battalion 9, commanded by Captain Vaino Hanpää. 1st Battalion of Infantry Regiment, 16 under Major Erkki Rapana. 450 men total. Skis silent on powder snow. White camouflage suits blend with landscape. Weapons wrapped in cloth to prevent metal glint. They meet the Soviet 718th Regiment preparing its own flank attack. Colonel Volkov planned pre-dawn assault on Finnish supply depot. Same timing as Finnish offensive. Opposing attacks cancel each other out. Soviet reconnaissance patrol spots. Finnish movement at 0745. Radio warning to regimental headquarters. Artillery request denied due to fog conditions. Visual identification impossible. Contact at 0815. Machine gun duel across frozen lake. Soviet Maxim guns in fixed positions. Finnish Lati Salaranta. Guns firing from prone. Bullet impacts, splash ice fragments. Men dive behind snowdrifts. Casualties mount on both sides. Finnish 3rd Company retreats to the Tolvajärvi-Kokari road. Captain Jaakko Valtonen wounded in shoulder. Sergeant Matti Koskinen takes command. 2nd Company crosses the lake under covering fire, turns south toward Hirvasvaara Ridge, encounters Soviet ski patrol, brief firefight. 2 Finns killed, 4 Soviets eliminated. Company stalls near Hirvasvaara Ridge. Soviet resistance stiffens. By noon, Malkamäki orders retreat around the lake's northern end. Radio communication with Talvella intermittent. Atmospheric conditions interfere with signals. Parts of 2nd Company remain in Hirvasvaara, supporting Pajari's flank. 23 men under Lieutenant Olavi Peltola establish observation post, report Soviet movement toward main battle area, southern pincer. 2nd Battalion of Infantry Regiment 16 under Major Yrjö Koskinen prepares to attack along the road. 280 men, supported by 5th Battery of Field Artillery Regiment 12, 475mm guns under Captain Lauri Nisala. Ammunition limited to 60 rounds per gun. Every shot must count. Soviet 609th Regiment hits them first. Colonel Petrov launches spoiling attack at 0750. 3 companies advancing through forest. Submachine gun squads leading. PPSH, 41 weapons firing in short bursts. Finns absorb the attack. Take casualties, but hold positions. Private Eero Korhonen killed by sniper. Corporal Penny Lane wounded by grenade fragment. Section leaders rally their men. Return disciplined rifle fire. Artillery support arrives at 1000 hours, just in time. Soviet infantry massing for second assault. Finnish observers direct fire missions. Shells bracket Soviet positions. Tree bursts shower defenders with wood splinters. Casualties mount among attackers. The 609th Regiment strikes across the ice at Tolvajärvi village. 400 men in extended line. Officers leading from front. Political officers urging advance. Finnish firepower turns them back toward the tourist hotel. Machine guns sweep ice surface. Rifle fire from concealed positions. Soviet attack falters. Men seek shelter behind pressure ridges. 3rd Battalion of Infantry Regiment 16 under Major Vilho Roos chases the retreating Soviets. 300 men following retreating enemy. Stumbles into prepared defensive position. Hurricane of fire from hotel area. Soviet heavy weapons emplaced overnight. Maxim machine guns. 50mm mortars. Anti-tank rifles. Breaks through Soviet positions after 40-minute firefight. Heavy casualties. 1 platoon loses 2/3 of its strength. Lieutenant Paavo Susitaival killed leading assault. Sergeant Veikko Korinen assumes command. Fighting dissolves into small groups. Unit cohesion lost. Individual initiative essential. Tooth and nail combat. Bayonets and hand grenades. Close quarters battle in pine trees. The hotel. Tolvajärvi Tourist Hotel. 3-story wooden building constructed in 1928. Towering structure on small hill overlooking Lake Junction. Turned into fortress overnight. Soviet engineers reinforced walls with logs. Machine gun positions cut in upper floors. Observation posts in attic windows. Ammunition stored in basement. Radio equipment in manager's office. Commands the thin isthmus between 2 lakes. Choke point for any advancing force. Pajari arrives at forward command post. Studies hotel through binoculars. Counts muzzle flashes. Estimates garrison strength. 2 companies minimum. Maybe battalion headquarters element. Heavy weapons complement. Difficult target for infantry assault. Decides to bypass strong point. Outflank through forest. Avoid frontal attack. Soviet artillery observer in Hotel Cupola directs fire on Finnish positions. 122mm howitzers respond to radio calls. Shells impact around Finnish command post. Communications trenches collapse. Telephone lines severed. 2 signalmen killed. Radio operator wounded. Command and control degrading. Pajari commits his reserves. 3rd Company of 2nd Battalion under Captain Arne Jutelainen. 4th Company held in reserve under Captain Aino Luukkonen. Pincer attack on Soviet troops around the hotel. Left hook through pine forest. Right hook across open ground. Converging assault on building itself. Artillery pounds the building for 15 minutes. Concentrated barrage from 4 guns. High explosive shells. Wooden walls splinter. Windows shatter. Roof tiles scattered. Smoke and dust obscure target. Finnish infantry advances during bombardment. Close assault distance while enemy suppressed. Hotel assault begins at 11:30. Finnish soldiers storm up the slope. 2 companies attacking from different directions, covering fire from light machine guns. Suomi submachine guns spraying doorways. Soviet defenders reply with everything available. Rifle fire from upper windows. Hand grenades thrown down stairwells. Room-to-room fighting. Bayonets and entrenching tools. Close combat in narrow corridors. First floor cleared by noon. Soviet survivors retreat to second floor. Barricade stairway with furniture. Continue resistance from improvised positions. Finnish engineers place demolition charges. Explosive breaches in exterior walls. Assault troops enter through gaps. Combat spreads through entire building. The hotel falls at 12:45. Inside, they find a dead Soviet regimental commander, Colonel Alexei Markov of 609th Regiment, shot through head by Finnish sniper, all the regiment's papers scattered across blood-soaked floors, operations orders, radio frequencies, supply schedules, personnel rosters, maps showing Soviet positions throughout sector, artillery coordinates, minefield locations. The intelligence windfall changes everything. Finns withdraw across the lakes for the night, ice cracks under their boots. Temperature drops to minus 20 Celsius. Bitter wind cuts through uniforms. Many soldiers develop frostbite, but morale soars. They hit the Soviets hard, captured their headquarters, proved the Red Army can bleed. December 13th. Morning. Colonel Tolvajärvi demands a new attack. The Soviet 139th Division pulls back. Discipline cracking. Officer casualties mount, NKVD report later states. On December 12th, 1939, the division ceased to exist. It became a crowd of men that had lost the will to fight. Brigade Commander Belyaev orders withdrawal to Ristisalmi. Retreat becomes a rout. Soviet 75th Division rushes forward as reinforcements. Too late. Finns renew their counteroffensive December 14th. Secure Ristisalmi straight by end of day. Soviets continue retreating toward Metzenvara. December 17th. Tolvajärvi commits all reserves to Pajari. The pursuit becomes relentless. December 20th through 22nd. Soviet 139th Division destroyed around Eglayjärvi Lake, 20 kilometers east of Tolvajärvi. Complete annihilation. The numbers tell the story. Pajari's men captured 20 tanks of various types, 60 machine guns, 6 75mm artillery pieces, 4 45mm anti-tank guns, 3 mortars, 1,429 rifles. Material desperately needed by Finnish forces, soon used against their former owners. Soviet casualties stagger belief. 761 confirmed dead, 1,715 wounded, 1,076 missing, over 3,500 casualties from a single division. An NKVD report confirms the devastation. Finnish losses are brutal but sustainable. 630 killed, 1,320 wounded. According to historian Alan Chu, proportionally the heaviest Finnish losses of the entire war. December 16th, Brigade Commander Belyaev dismissed from command. Preserves his rank, but his reputation dies at Tolvajärvi. December 18th. Tolvajärvi promoted to Major General. Pajari elevated to full colonel. First promotions to general rank during the war. Recognition for achieving the impossible. The tactical brilliance cannot be overstated. Finns execute perfect double envelopment across frozen lakes. Use terrain to negate Soviet armor advantage. Exploit weather conditions that ground enemy aircraft. Coordinate infantry assaults with limited artillery. Create local superiority despite overall numerical inferiority. Classic military doctrine made reality in sub-Arctic conditions. But Tolvajärvi represents more than tactical success. It proves Finnish soldiers can stand against the Red Army. Not just defend, attack, win. National morale skyrockets. International observers take notice. The mighty Soviet Union stumbles against a nation smaller than most Soviet republics. January 1940. Winter deepens. Temperatures plummet to minus 43 Celsius on the Karelian Isthmus. Record cold. Soviet soldiers freeze in standardized uniforms. Finnish troops dress in layers. White snowcapes make ski units invisible. Guerrilla tactics multiply. Motti battles become legendary. Soviet columns cut into segments. Destroyed piecemeal. The strategic impact spreads beyond Finland. Adolf Hitler watches Soviet performance. Draws conclusions about Red Army effectiveness. Stalin's purges have decapitated military leadership. Remaining commanders lack initiative, equipment superior, but tactics outdated. Logistical systems collapse in harsh conditions. These observations influenced German planning for Operation Barbarossa 18 months later. February 1940. Soviets reorganize. Massive artillery concentrations breach the Mannerheim line. Fresh divisions pour through gaps. Superior numbers finally tell. Finnish reserves exhausted. Ammunition runs low. International aid insufficient. March 13th, 1940. Moscow Peace Treaty signed. Finland cedes 11% of territory. Maintains independence. Stalin gets land but pays a price. International reputation shattered. League of Nations expels Soviet Union for unprovoked aggression. The human cost staggers. Official Soviet figures claim 48,475 dead, 158,863 wounded or sick. Later Russian estimates vary wildly. Mikhail Semyoryaga claims 53,522 dead in 1990. Grigory Krivosheyev calculates 126,875 dead and missing in 1997. Total Soviet casualties approach 400,000. Finnish losses remain disputed but significantly lower. Official figures list 26,662 dead, approximately 43,000 wounded. Population loss devastating for a nation of 3 million. But military objectives achieved, independence preserved, territory reduced but sovereignty intact. The lessons of Tolvajärvi echo through military history. Small professional forces can defeat larger armies under correct conditions. Terrain and weather become force multipliers. Leadership quality trumps numerical superiority. National determination overcomes material disadvantages. Tactical innovation compensates for technological gaps. Modern military analysts study the battle for insights into asymmetric warfare. Finnish tactics prefigure later guerrilla strategies. Use of natural obstacles to channel enemy movements. Concentration of limited resources at decisive points. Exploitation of enemy vulnerabilities. Psychological warfare through unexpected victories. The participants become legends. Paavo Talvela earns the Mannerheim Cross in 1941. Continues commanding through the Continuation War. Serves as Finnish representative to German High Command. Refuses Heinrich Himmler's offer to lead pro-German faction after Finnish separate peace. Dies in 1973. Remembered as the architect of Finland's first Winter War victory. Auro Pajari leads Infantry Regiment 16 through numerous battles. Promoted to brigade command. Heart condition worsens under combat stress. Survives the war. Returns to civilian life. Dies in 1966. Military historians credit his tactical skill at Tolvajärvi with changing war's momentum. Nicholas Belyaev disappears into Soviet bureaucracy after dismissal. Regains Major General rank in June 1940 during rank restructuring. Fate unknown. Like many Soviet commanders, possibly executed during later purges, becomes footnote to Finnish victory. The strategic railroad Talvela was ordered to protect remains in Finnish hands. Vertila Junction continues supplying forces on the Karelian Isthmus. Soviet flanking maneuver fails completely. Main Finnish defensive lines hold until February breakthrough. Tolvajärvi buys precious time for international diplomacy, but victory comes at terrible cost. Finnish 4th Corps suffers disproportionate casualties. Officer losses particularly severe. Talvela loses 1/3 of officers and non-commissioned officers, 1/4 of enlisted men. Elite units bled white in frontal assaults. Tactical success achieved through strategic sacrifice. The broader implications reshape Northern European balance. Sweden maintains nervous neutrality. Norway increases military preparations. Soviet prestige plummets internationally. Winston Churchill calls the Winter War the most glorious episode in the history of the human race. Rhetoric aside, small nations take hope from Finnish resistance. Stalin learns bitter lessons. Military reforms accelerate after March Peace Treaty. Purge survivors promoted rapidly. New tactical doctrines developed, equipment modernized, logistical systems improved. These changes prove crucial when Germany invades 15 months later. Soviet Union survives Barbarossa partly due to Winter War experience, and the psychological dimension cannot be ignored. Tolvajärvi proves Soviet forces are not invincible. Red Army bleeds like any other. Political commissars cannot substitute for tactical competence. Ideological fervor means nothing against competent opposition in harsh conditions. Reality check for both Stalin and Hitler. Archaeological evidence from the battlefield tells the story. Metal detectors find shell fragments and bullet casings scattered across the frozen ground where the hotel stood. Soviet equipment rusts in forest clearings. Tank hulks mark retreat routes. Finnish military historians map positions using surviving participants, testimonies, and wartime photographs. December 23, 1939, near Suomussalmi village, Colonel Hjalmar Siilasvuo's 9th Division begins another classic encirclement. Soviet 44th. Motorized infantry division trapped on Rete Road. Complete destruction follows. Finnish tactics refined at Tolvajärvi, repeated with devastating effect. The pattern becomes clear. Soviet columns advance down narrow forest roads. Finnish forces allow penetration. Then cut supply lines, isolate enemy units, attack from all directions simultaneously. Motti tactics born from necessity become doctrine, applied repeatedly throughout the Winter War. International military observers flood into Finland. British, French, American, and German attachés study Finnish methods. Reports flood back to home governments. Small army tactical innovations attract worldwide attention. Finland becomes laboratory for modern infantry warfare in extreme conditions. The equipment captured at Tolvajärvi saves lives throughout the war. Soviet rifles arm Finnish reservists. Captured ammunition feeds Finnish guns. 20 tanks provide mobile firepower previously lacking. Artillery pieces reinforce thin defensive lines. Material balance shifts incrementally but significantly. Weather statistics from December 1939 reveal perfect conditions for Finnish tactics. Average temperature minus 15 Celsius, 20 inches of snow cover, frequent fog limiting visibility. Soviets lose air superiority advantage. Tank mobility severely restricted. Finnish ski troops operate freely. The terrain analysis shows why Soviets chose this axis. Single road through Lake District offers potential breakthrough route. Capture of Virtala Junction would isolate Finnish 4th Corps. Strategic objective clear, but tactical execution flawed. Underestimate Finnish resistance. Overestimate their own capabilities. Radio intercepts reveal Soviet command confusion during battle. Units report conflicting positions. Supply requests go unanswered. Retreat orders arrive too late. Communication breakdown accelerates tactical collapse. Finnish intelligence services monitor frequencies. Provide real-time battlefield information to Tolvajärvi. Post-battle. Soviet investigations blame multiple factors: inadequate winter equipment, poor tactical leadership, insufficient reconnaissance, underestimation of Finnish capabilities, overconfidence based on Polish campaign success, reports buried in archives, lessons learned incompletely applied. Finnish medical services perform miracles during battle, field hospitals established in village schools, wounded evacuated across frozen lakes by ski patrol, frostbite casualties treated with limited resources. Survival rates remarkably high despite primitive conditions. Medical personnel share dangers with combat troops. The logistics challenge nearly defeats Finnish forces. Single supply road, vulnerable to Soviet air attack. Ammunition rationed carefully. Food supplies irregular. Fuel scarce for vehicles and heating. Victory achieved despite severe material constraints. Improvisation becomes standard operating procedure. Contemporary accounts from both sides paint vivid pictures. Finnish soldier Vaino Millart writes home, "The Russians came like a gray wave across the ice. We stopped them with rifle fire and determination." Soviet survivor Pavel Kuznetsov later recalls, "The Finns appeared from nowhere, white ghosts in the forest. We never saw them coming." The documentary evidence accumulates: war diaries from Finnish units, Soviet after-action reports, captured documents, photograph collections, oral histories from survivors. Academic research continues revealing new details. Truth emerges slowly from propaganda of both sides. Finnish cinema immortalizes the battle. Films like The Winter War in 1989 show Tolvajärvi sequences, dramatic recreation based on veteran testimonies. International audiences discover forgotten chapter of World War II history. Finnish courage inspires new generations. Soviet historiography long minimized the defeat. Official histories emphasized strategic objectives achieved. Territorial gains highlighted, tactical failures downplayed. Glasnost era brings honest reassessment. Russian historians now acknowledge Finnish tactical superiority. Military competence recognized across former ideological divide. The final tally reveals startling disparities. 4,000 Finns engage elements of Soviet 8th Army. Inflict casualties at 3-to-1 ratio despite numerical disadvantage. Capture significant equipment stocks worth millions of rubles. Achieve complete tactical victory against professional enemy force. Force enemy withdrawal across 60-kilometer front. Demonstrate small unit effectiveness against conventional forces. Soviet logistics collapse, accelerates defeat. Supply convoys targeted by Finnish ski patrols. Fuel trucks destroyed by Molotov cocktails. Ammunition dumps raided. Communication lines cut repeatedly. Medical evacuations disrupted. Morale plummets as conditions deteriorate. Political officers report discipline problems. NKVD investigation team dispatched from Leningrad. Brigade Commander Belyaev attempts damage control. Orders defensive positions established at Tolvajärvi. Calls for air support despite weather conditions. Requests reinforcement from 7th Army Reserves. Appeals rejected by Corps Commander Khabarov. Resources committed elsewhere. 39th Division must hold with existing strength. December 19th, Soviet 75th Rifle Division arrives as reinforcement. Fresh troops from Pskov Garrison. Division Commander, Brigade Commander Pavel Kukushkin. 3 rifle regiments, full artillery complement. Armored battalion with T-26 tanks. Orders to restore situation and resume advance toward Virtala Junction. Finnish intelligence reports new Soviet formations. Radio intercepts confirm additional units. Reconnaissance patrols observe tank movements. Supply situation becomes critical. Ammunition stocks nearly exhausted. Artillery shells rationed to 5 rounds per gun per day. Small arms ammunition limited to essential targets only. Tolvajärvi requests reinforcement from 4th Corps Reserve. Denied. All available units committed to Mannerheim line defense. Group Tolvajärvi fights alone or not at all. Decision made to continue offensive with existing forces. Capture additional Soviet supplies before attacking. Strength depleted completely. The pursuit becomes relentless. Finnish ski patrols harass Soviet columns during withdrawal. Cut telephone lines. Ambush supply convoys. Mine access roads. Psychological warfare component. Loudspeakers broadcast surrender appeals in Russian. Leaflets dropped promising fair treatment for prisoners. Some effect on Soviet morale already shaken by defeat. But statistics never tell the complete story. Behind numbers lie human drama of unprecedented scale. Individual courage under extreme conditions, testing every limit of endurance. Split-second decisions, determining outcomes for thousands of men. Leadership, making difference between victory and defeat in circumstances no peacetime training anticipated. Ordinary people achieving extraordinary results when survival depends on factors beyond material calculations. December 12th becomes sacred date in Finnish military calendar permanently. Tolvajärvi Day commemorated annually throughout armed forces. Veterans gather at battle sites for solemn ceremonies. Stories passed to younger generations through formal military education programs. Military heritage preserved through oral tradition, supplementing written records. National identity strengthened by shared historical memory, transcending political differences. The battlefield today shows few traces of combat. Forest has reclaimed Soviet positions. Lakes freeze each winter as they did in 1939. Tourist hotel rebuilt after war. Peaceful scene masks, violent past. Only memorial stones mark where history pivoted on courage and competence. 60 kilometers east of Tolvajärvi lies Eglejärvi Lake. December 20th through 22nd, 1939, Soviet 139th Rifle Division makes final stand. Surrounded Finnish forces close the trap. 3 days of fighting end in complete Soviet collapse. Division ceases to exist as fighting force. Remnants scatter through frozen forest. Most never reach Soviet lines. Bodies discovered for decades after war's end. Final confirmation of tactical disaster that began at Tolvajärvi's tourist hotel when Finnish soldiers stormed up that blood-soaked hill and planted their flag in victory.